Why don't I bother with comparison? If I am to think a bit about it, typically comparison it's not necessarily used as a means to observe differences in between one individual and another, or well, one side and another side. Typically, what I see in people is that comparison is used mostly as a tool for self deprecation. Why? Because, well, people simply use this in conjunction with their obsession for self deprecation. A lot of people compare themselves not because they want to see how good others are compared to them or how far they have reached in life. They just need yet another reason to remind themselves that they are not good in life and that they would not be worthy of anything. This is something that this sick society is putting on the shoulders of everyone ever since birth. Bad parenting, toxic environments, and the such lead people to thinking that whatever they do is not necessarily that relevant. So, in time, people just give up trying to withstand it and just prefer joining the flow because to them it is much more comfortable since it always seems uh, less energy consuming than compared to keeping your originality, staying true to what you are, what you represent as a unique individual in a sick society. So, to many people, it just becomes a sport. It becomes an escape mechanism where they just constantly distract themselves with how good others are, giving themselves even more reasons each and every day, and also rehearsing those same reasons to embrace the same toxicity that they got accustomed to. Why? Because it's their comfort zone. It is their escape mechanism, right? They are used to, you know, being the odd ones, being insufficient always, so they just seek that again and again. They are not interested in doing this in a conscious way to see how good you are compared to others or how much of a beginner you are compared to others. Comparison is good if you use it consciously because you can see others as better than you, not as something that is not just better than you, but it's like it's an affront to your existence that they are better than you. Yes, because that's how victimization functions. That's how victimization sounds like. So a lot of people simply prefer to ignore this idea and do it as the same habitual aspect. They just prefer giving up on consciousness and just living the same dream where they are not good of anything at anything and they just repeat that again and again. Then they wonder why they are so stressed out. Obviously, everything will be bad in your system once you convince it that everything is bad about it. It will only reflect your own emotions. Your mind will not be able to think outside of your emotions. Yes? The two are closely related. So one has to understand in time that comparison is a thief of joy if you are not doing it correctly. Comparing one another or two groups is something also usually relevant because in most situations when you compare even individuals in between you will never have all the necessary parameters to do that comparison and to think how shallow people have to be to simply compare situations based on pieces of news or whatever other so-called official sources of information. See, those official sources give you what serves certain agendas, not what you need to hear. The only reason why I look at the news, rarely when I do, is to see what they are not telling. Because obviously, when some sources tell you something, it's easy to presume the opposite. Yes? Otherwise, also in life, this principle functions. When people try to convince you that it is your fault, that it is your problem, it's probably theirs, and they're just trying to put the blame on your shoulders instead because it's easier for them to cope with a problem. That clearly shows shallowness, immaturity, and obviously, well, lack of taking responsibilities in their life. So, obviously, those are the kinds of people you should never approach, you should never even try to help unless well the environment kind of forces you to which extent you just keep a minimalist approach as little as possible and you handle your own things. In the worst case scenario, just say like them but do like you. Agree with them in certain things but do things your own way because you have your free conscience. I don't bother with comparison because I am a highly analytical mind. I need hundreds of options to observe, patterns to recognize, and, well, obviously, all sorts of values and parameters to simply take into account. That is why I simply cannot compare the fact that I see someone work in a certain way in a certain moment. Yes, I need an extensive period of time to study that person to see whether they're good or not, or whether they're just showing out. Yes, and I'm always looking for people better than me because we all learn from someone better. And when someone is much better than you, instead of being stupid and see them as an enemy, why not be wise enough and try to befriend them? If you want to do something, obviously you'll have to learn from someone. In life, we all need a mentor. Those mentors usually won't come for free, but if you can find yourself a mentor to help you, that would be the greatest win in your life. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You're appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. This being said, Ferenjan Board signing out.